finished watching this series on Netflix called Squid Game. In one of the episodes, the challenge was to use a needle and carve out a specific shape in a honeycomb without cracking it. I was intrigued by the idea and wanted to make it myself and figured I'd bring you guys along with me. So to get started in preparation, you'll need some parchment paper, a little bit of vegetable oil, something round and flat that you can stamp your honeycomb with. I'm using the bottom of this vase and the oil is to help it prevent from sticking. And then for a fun shape to be stamped in the middle of the honeycomb, I'm using my little Mickey Mouse cookie cutter, which is sitting in a bed of cornstarch, which is also to help it not get stuck to the honeycomb. Okay, now let's make the honeycomb. This part is so quick, so don't blink. You're gonna need to add 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar in a small pan on medium heat. Using a wooden spoon or chopstick, you're gonna keep stirring it until it starts to melt. This process is really quick, so do not walk away from the stove. Keep mixing it. It'll take about 4 to 6 minutes. At about the midpoint, before it starts to melt, you're gonna notice your sugar clumping like this. Keep stirring it because it's gonna start to melt. And here's where you have to act really fast. You're gonna pour in 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda, remove it from the stove, mix it up as quick as you can until it's well combined and pour it onto your parchment paper. Not only does the honeycomb set really quick, but the longer your sugar sits in your hot pan, the more chances of it to burn. And trust me when I say the sugar burns really quick when it's at that liquid state. Okay, now it's time to flatten it. Again, I'm using a glass vase. I would recommend using metal or glass. Do not use plastic because the honeycomb is really hot. As long as you have it oiled, don't worry, whatever transferred will pop right off. And now before your honeycomb hardens, you wanna use your little cookie cutter and gently push it into the center, not all the way through, but about 75% through. Like I mentioned earlier, you have to work really quick because you don't want your honeycomb to harden on you. Give it about 5 minutes before removing it from the parchment paper. This was my 4th attempt, believe it or not, and I still feel like I overcooked the sugar, but it turned out alright. The key is to be prepared and work quick. Okay, remember this, how it got stuck to the bottom? Well, because I oiled it, it'll pop right off. The only downfall about following this recipe is you are making literally 1 honeycomb cookie at a time, or in this case, 2 if you want to count this one as one. But then again, honeycomb isn't something you're gonna eat a lot of. Once it has cooled completely, you can just slide it right off of your parchment paper. It's very thin and super duper fragile, not to add very, very crispy. I'm gonna show you my other failed attempts. As you can see, this one is darker brown, a little bit thicker. That one definitely was burnt. And then this one I thought turned out really good at first, but then I noticed that it was really bubbly and there's a lot of air bubbles. And so the last one I did was probably the best one out of the batch. It could be better, but this will just have to do. But now the real challenge is, can I carve it? In the show, they provided them with a sewing needle just like this. I'm dead. Player eliminated.